Be strong, be you, be a ninja babe.
Welcome to the Ninjababes podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. We've been talking about doing this for over a year now, so.
Great things come in slow packages, right? Isn't that what they always
No
say?
one says that. That's not a thing. You made that up in the spot.
Well,
Great things take time. People say that sometimes.
that's true. I'm here today recording with Sara Heesen, and I love always saying this, but I'm sitting in my living room, and Sara, where are you?
I'm in Minneapolis in between two massive snowstorms.
Oh, goodness. Well,
Yep.
I'm sitting here in Jersey where somehow, for whatever reason, the weather thinks that it can do this thing where we'll get a bad snow, which won't really accumulate to anything, but everyone will freak out and it'll snow. We'll have 4 inches, and then a few hours later, it will turn to rain, and
Are
then
you serious?
it'll freeze overnight, and then the next morning is mayhem because it's just ice puddles everywhere,
Oh, man.
and then
That's
it
the
and then
worst.
and then literally it'll be 50 degrees that afternoon. It's so weird. It's just horrible, and I don't understand.
We say that about Minnesota weather too. It's like a toddler who has bipolar. It's just, what was it, a 3-day span? The weather fluctuated by 100 degrees. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's worse than here. 100 degrees. I
It
just
went
don't
from
even.
negative 50 during that vortex, and then 2 days later it was upper 40s.
Wow.
Just anyway, that's why you tuned in to talk about the weather.
This is the weather podcast, not to be confused with the weather ninja, aka Joe Moravsky. I always want to call him Mike by accident, and I don't know why that happens.
He just looks like a Mike. That's because you're from Jersey. Everyone's named Mike in Jersey.
Maybe. Hey, so there's this crazy mattress that I sleep on from Sleepovation. They call it 700 tiny mattresses in one because it's literally 700 pieces of mattress cut up into one big mattress. And it's the most comfortable thing I've ever slept on. If you follow me on my personal Instagram, my name is Cara, or the Ninjababes YouTube channel, then you've seen it. You've seen this epic mattress, and you know what I'm talking about. This is the Sleepovation mattress. Those 700 tiny mattresses in one. Yep, that's the thing I'm talking about. This mattress has completely changed my world, and I love it. The reason I'm bringing it up is because Sleepovation is now a sponsor of the Ninjababes podcast, which means they're helping to spread that Ninjababes fire. How cool is that? Sleepovation is an awesome local company here in New Jersey. They ship throughout the country, and they're now offering the Ninjababes community $400 off if you order a mattress using code Ninjababes. That's amazing. So check out the videos on the Ninjababes YouTube channel. They're pretty hilarious. This mattress is supportive, comfy, and I look forward to sleeping on it every night because it gives me such great rest. And we all know as athletes that we need those precious hours of sleep to help us recover and be ready to crush life and ninja the next day. So check out sleepovation.com. There are also links to the site on my personal Instagram and on the Ninjababes YouTube channel. Don't forget to use code NINJABABES in checkout. That's Ninjababes, all caps with an S. Now back to the show with Cara and Sara.
I grew up in California. I actually spent my whole life there. And then when I was 18, I decided to come to Minnesota because that's where my extended family is from both my mom and dad's side. It was a mistake because I came with a sweatshirt and a scarf thinking that would, and tennis shoes. I thought my winter shoes would be tennis shoes. And my mom didn't correct me because she just wanted me to be in Minnesota with her family so badly. So that was a rude awakening.
She was like, yeah, honey, you'll be fine. And she's chuckling in her mind.
I think so. She knew what I was going with, and she just let it happen because I think her big dream was to move back to Minneapolis where the whole family was, and she wanted me to be there too. But oh my gosh, I didn't understand what cold was. And
Yeah.
when October hit, I remember very distinctly leaving the library from college because I was studying, and turning the corner and a gust of wind hit me. And legitimately, I thought that I wasn't going to make it to my dorm that was 2 blocks away. There was no snow on the ground. I remember this, and it was October, so it was not even by Minnesota standards cold. and I
Right.
I thought that I wasn't gonna make it. I'm like, maybe I can just sleep in the library. I it's probably not safe to walk back to my dorm.
Oh man, it's not safe. So then, well, magically somehow you survived Minnesota all these years and you're still there. Good job.
Thank
Um,
you.
how long after, like, when was it that you got into Ninja then? Did you discover Ninja like while you've been in Minnesota then?
Yeah, I was up late on Facebook just scrolling through, and there's this woman who completed uh what is it, the final stage. A lot of women have the same story. They watched Casey Catanzaro's run and they're like, that looks awesome. I want to try. And that's what happened with me. Um, I actually I was like, that doesn't look that hard. And then when I went into a ninja gym, I decided I'd work my way up to the hard obstacles. I'm like, I'll start with the rings for a warm up. And immediately when my feet left the ground, my vision went blurry because my shoulders hurt so bad and I dropped immediately. I couldn't even hang. That's where I started.
Good.
Where
Which
did
is
you
amazing.
start?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's an amazing testimony to like everyone who's never done a pull-up and wants to do Ninja. Um, for me, I had done sports basically throughout middle school and high school and after college, but I was like not doing pull-ups. Like
Right.
I was a lower body athlete mostly. I did volleyball and like ran track like hurdles and things like that. So like I had some amount of arm strength from like hitting and volleyball and like serving, but there's something so different from like swinging your arm to like using grip strength.
hmm
Um,
hmm
so after college, I had done strength training just casually, like for my own enjoyment for like 2 or 3 years. And then it was after that that I got into Ninja. So I guess when I started, I could do, I think, 4 pull-ups because my trainer at the gym was like, had been working me up to doing pull-ups for like a long time.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I could do 4, which is probably like my max, like my absolute max, 3 or 4.
That's
Um,
freaking awesome, though. I mean, there's like, was the study that like less than 1% of women worldwide can do one pull up?
yeah,
I've
that
done zero research to see if that's correct, but I did read that somewhere.
no, but that sounds accurate to like the way I've heard people talk about it, or the average woman who in America that I talk to is they can't necessarily do a pull up. Like
Yeah.
I think if you're in sports, even like in high school, I don't remember other girls like readily doing pull-ups. Like I was in volleyball and we didn't even like practice doing pull-ups. Like maybe that was totally my team's bad and we like sucked and didn't,
No, that's the same for me though. I think
yeah,
we did like a hang where we had to put our chin above the bar and hang as long as possible, but
yeah.
and that was a yearly test that we did, but that was all we did. We didn't do pull-ups or I don't even think we did push-ups.
Oh, well, I guess we did the presidential test. Did you guys do that over there in gym class? There was like
No, I went to a private school, so we just did whatever we wanted.
a
I don't remember doing that. No.
okay. Yeah, my school had when I was in public school, we had like a presidential test that you would do like pull-ups and push-ups and stuff like that once a year and like see how many you can get.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
and then we had this other thing in my high school. I went to a private high school, but it was called the 500 Club. So basically, I think it was like standing broad jump, how many pull-ups, how many push-ups, like I think there were 5 or 6 different categories, and you would get, or no, I guess five categories, and you can get 100 points total for each category. And I wanted so bad to make the
Yeah.
500 Club, and I remember that pull-ups were the ones that I couldn't do, and so I did the max push-ups. I could do the however long, like far I needed for broad jump. I was just about there. I think I was like a couple points shy in broad jump and a couple points shy, well, many points shy in pull ups. But I remember somehow getting the t shirt anyway, probably because I was like that one girl who was so aggressive about like trying. And I remember going to this is a tangent. I remember going to the gym after school, like every day in a row, like in June of my senior year, like just being like, let me just test pull ups one more time. Like I think
So
I can get
awesome.
I really think I can get one. And I
We're not
think,
a competitive bunch at all.
yeah, and I think my gym teacher was finally like, you're trying really hard and you have like 400 points. Like, you're fine.
You
So,
remember what the how many you needed to get the 100 points?
I really don't remember, but I wish that I did. And I bet I could ask my high school. I bet they would tell me.
Yeah. I'd just be
Yeah.
curious. I wonder if that's changed with time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it
that's
used
fair.
to be 5 and now it's 10 or whatever. Or I wonder if it's gone down. That'd be so sad. I hope it hasn't gone down.
It hasn't either. I do remember for push-ups that it was 50 push-ups because I practiced at home for weeks. Like every night I would do as many push-ups as I could, and slowly the numbers would like creep up until I could do 50 push-ups like straight.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, I think it was a time limit too. So like I remember working so hard to get that t-shirt and like have my name on the list of like met the 500 club kind of a thing.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. That was like a trip down memory lane. I didn't even remember that that's when I started thinking about it. Yeah. So, but definitely Ninja has challenged me in so many ways that I've never been challenged before and never even thought that I could do. Like like stuff where you're airborne, like lacheting through the air. I never even thought about trying that.
I know. It's fun when you get into the gym because there's such concrete progressions. Like I couldn't do a 5 foot lache when I started, and now I can. Or I could only move 3 pegs on the pegboard, and now I can move all the way across. And it's super satisfying to be able to visually see progress that way.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know I love it. I love seeing like all of the progressions and just like realizing how far I've come. And I think like with when I used to just do strength training in the gym, like it felt good to feel like I was healthy and like feel like I could lift heavy things even, like around the house. But there's something really cool about like really measurably being able to say like, oh, I made this 10-foot lache or like whatever it is, whatever your goal is that you're working on, like to be able to get further. It's like incredible.
I know. I know. I love that.
So, what was your first year on A&W then?
Season 9 in Kansas City. Have to get that right. Yep. Well, actually, season 8, I guess, because I applied to be on the show. Season 8, I did not get a call back. Um, and then I went to the first city to test the obstacles,
Yeah.
and that was in Atlanta. And then as soon as that was done, I got on a lot of obstacles on that city, which was super fun. I decided to test all the cities because moderation is not something I do very well. So I actually tested in all the qualifying cities. I think it was 6 that year, and then finals in Vegas, and then for Ninja versus Ninja. So
Wow.
I yeah, I blew a lot of money on that. I was working 2 jobs, so I'd work a ton to pay for it, and then I'd go and, test and spend a lot of money testing, and then I'd come back and work a bunch of doubles to kind of replenish the bank account a little bit. So I'd call that my first year because I was really in deep, but then season 9 was when I actually got to compete, um, on the show.
That's really cool to hear. I am a huge advocate for people getting out there to test, and that's like an extreme story. I feel like, but that's the
Yeah.
perfect story. Like you got so much experience, they were able to see you do your thing, and I'm sure you felt way more comfortable with the course. So that's really
Yeah. It was actually the one of the biggest things for me was getting the nerves out because it's during the day, my run doesn't count, um, but I was still really nervous to get up there because I wanted to prove that I was good enough to test to the next obstacle because they kind of pick and choose who they
oh
want
yeah.
to run the obstacles. And I think right before I decided to spend all this money and go to these cities, I was like, I'm going to get on the show. I don't know how, but I'm going to get on it. So I want to be ready. And it was one of those kind of self fulfilling prophecies because I was testing so much. A lot of the producers got to know who I was. And I remember in Ninja versus Ninja, one of the producers came up to me and said, "What's your name? You're good." And I was like, "Please remember me. I want I want to be on the show so bad next year."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it's sweet that like I don't know, it is such a weird experience to like be on set and like see all the producers and people that like hold the keys to you, like being on or not on the show. And you're like, pick me, please pick me. Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
feels like. It feels like you're a kid on the playground and you're like, "Put me in, coach. I'm ready." Like, let's do this. I've
Yeah.
never, it's just I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity, and I'm grateful that I got to go on those
Yeah.
obstacles. But it was, man, that took a lot out of me that year.
Absolutely. It's like, yeah, for those of you listening who might not know about testing, basically, when they run the show for A&W for American Ninja Warrior, they have the course, like they're building the course and they have the obstacles set up like many days before they actually start filming, but they need people who are capable of running the obstacles to actually like test them out, who aren't competing, who can be on the obstacles, kind of show the producers and the people who are building the course how the obstacles will react to different body types, different weights, different heights, men, women. Is this obstacle like way too easy? Is it way too hard? And they just want to see a variety of people on them, but they want to see athletes who are capable of doing it and like see how people run through it, like just as if a competitor from the show was running through it. And so I tested as well. My
You
first time
tested
testing
that year, didn't you? Or
Ninja vs. Ninja. I don't remember meeting you, but I did test Ninja vs. Ninja.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that was, I guess, my first time ever touching the course was Vegas testing for the mega spider climb wall. Wait, I always confuse the
Nice.
name. Mega spider wall, the 80-foot wall up Mount Midoriyama, and it was that was not season 10, that was season 9. So that was my first time touching, and
Dude, we
I
were there
did
this year.
well, and I was like terrified. I just remember being so scared because I was shaking and I was like, oh my God, I'm like gonna test this obstacle and like people are watching me. And at that point, I remember like I was into ninja, but I was very new still. And it like kind of like my boyfriend at the time had like shoved me in there, like, do you want to test this obstacle? Like, go, just get in there. Like, I'll get you in. Like, I wasn't originally on like the testing list, but they needed more women, and that was like a women's obstacle for the challenge night. So
Oh,
I
nice.
wanted yeah, so it was really neat how that happened. But then I remember,
Did you get all the way up?
yeah, I got all the way up.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got up pretty fast. I think so. I tested it that year, and then I tested it again last year, and I did not do as well the second time that I tested that obstacle. And part of me like wants to blame my shoes because I wore the same exact pair of shoes, which meant they were a year older, which meant
Okay.
like the grip in the bottom was probably way smoother. But I remember like my shoes were wet from earlier that day testing, and it was just like I did not do as well. And I remember being like super sad about it, but the producers were kind of like, it's all right, get over it. Cause I tested season 10. So after I was out of the competition after city finals in Philly, I went and tested in Minneapolis for qualifying in city finals. And then I tested in Vegas for stage 1. And I got on so many obstacles and was doing very well. And so then kind of like the last obstacle I tested at all was the spider climb wall. And I remember being sad because I didn't get up as fast as the year before. The year before I made it in about 30 seconds.
Right.
And that time it was like close to a minute. And so it's just weird, like things can change, but
Yeah,
I
I
also
don't know, man. It's also like that's Vegas. They don't
I
show
know.
you it on the screen as it's so dusty and windy that honestly, just that could have been a big reason why
Oh, for sure.
it slowed you down.
Yeah. And I slid partway down the wall. Like I was going up and then my foot slipped or whatever. And I like slid down several feet and that was kind of terrifying. Like, yeah, you're strapped in on a harness, but it's pretty high. But that is a tough climb. It's like
Yeah.
straight up into the air. But yeah, is point of the story is that testing is amazing. And so if anyone's like out there wanting to test, I would definitely ask your friends who've been testers how to get in touch with the correct people and try to make it out to those cities because it makes a huge difference in just like feeling more comfortable and like it's just awesome to
It's
get on the
just
obstacles.
fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah, I love everything about it.
Yeah. There's been times I've looked at it, I'm like, I don't know, if it wasn't so expensive to travel to other cities, I'd almost prefer testing to competing because you get your
I've
hands on so much more.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, which is kind of funny, but I totally get it because like there's not as much pressure, but you get to do sometimes obstacles like multiple times.
Right.
I get that. I still want to compete, but
We're
if
both
you're listening,
competitive. We're both hoping to compete again.
yeah, A&W, if you're listening, we're ready. We're
Yeah.
ready to go to Vegas
Yeah.
and crush it. Uh, so what kind of like where has your life's journey taken you? Like I know you have a lot that you've experienced just being a strong woman and being someone who I look at you and know that you have so much determination and I see it in your eyes like when I've seen you compete or when I've trained with you or even I guess it was last spring there was a UNIA that we both competed in at Conquer
Oh, nice.
and yeah, I just remember seeing how like fervent you are and like how much passion you have on the course. And I love that and I love seeing that about you. So tell me more about like what has made you into the Sarah that you are today.
Well, first, thanks for saying that. That's so sweet. I I want to be good. I want to see what my body is capable of doing, and I don't want to hesitate. So the biggest thing that I've been working on lately is pushing it and not resting between obstacles, and I'm trying to compete that way. It's a little scary because when I compete, I shouldn't say when you compete. When I compete, there is that fear that once you fall, you're done. So finding that sweet spot to push it to go fast and take risks, but not be reckless with it has been what I've been working on lately, and that's been really fun because I've been shaving time off of courses and stuff, and I know that when I practice that way, then I'll compete that way, and that could be the difference between getting on the podium and not. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I think big picture wise, my journey's been kind of interesting because I've had a lot of setbacks, and trying to deal with that mentally has been the hardest part for me. Because, man, right before I competed for season 9, I had Lyme disease. They didn't figure out what it was for 8 months. So I was done training for about 8 months, 9 months actually, because the antibiotics didn't work right away. And so then I get the call to be on the show. So I'm like, great, I'm at
Yeah.
my weakest. I applied to be on season 8 and they didn't call me, and I felt really strong in season 8. And then I got the call on season 9. And that was after 9 months of not training. I felt super weak. So getting in the right mindset to prepare myself was my biggest struggle. And that year, I actually trained with Hunter Gerard quite a bit. We would get up at 6 a.m. and do these insane workouts. If you haven't seen Hunter, he's called the Lizard on his social media, and the way that this guy moves is just freaking crazy. So we would do these insane workouts for 2 hours a day, and then I would try to take a rest. Like, I'd have to take a nap, and then I'd try to do my own workout a little bit later because I only had 6 weeks to train before the show.
Wow.
Yeah. And a little insight to what we would do is it was a 4-part workout. So the first part was a 5-mile run, and Hunter would push me to go faster, and we do it at a 5% incline. And then we do this circuit training where it'd be 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, an upper body circuit, and then 10 pull-ups, and we do that 5 times. And then we do a hangboard drills where it'd be 8 rounds of 10 pull-ups, 10 movements, 10 toe touches. And then he invented this stupid little thing. It's pulling a piece of paper out of a hat. So it could be anything. Sometimes it would be like a
Uh-huh.
mile and a half of sprints. And I remember one day,
It sounds so typical to like
I
what I
know
know of Hunter and what I
it's
know of OA.
it wasn't. I remember once I was struggling so bad to get through just the circuit, and that's the second part of the workout, right? That the last 2 rounds, the 5-set round, I was just focusing on the next movement. And in my head, I'm like, just one movement, just one movement. Because if I tried to think of everything I had to do, it was just too overwhelming. And then the piece of paper I drew out of that stupid hat was do the whole workout again. And I just started crying.
What?
I know. And Hunter, just nothing phases him. And he's like, okay, that sucks. Let's go. And I like have to wipe my eyes and pull it together and be like, okay, let's go.
Oh my goodness.
But it got me strong. It got me ready.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
it was,
That's like horribly amazing.
he would work out so hard that he would throw up. and I would work out so hard that I would sob. So we just
Yeah.
were a freaking hot mess.
But it got
It
you to season 9.
got me to season 9. Nothing on that course was worse than what I practiced, and that's how I hear so many, really good athletes talk about it. They're like, train hard, compete easy.
Right. No. And then you look totally like fly when you're going through the course because you have so much finesse. Like it's like, oh, it's easy move. I got this.
I
Like
don't even want to cry right now.
exactly. So true. So true. And it's like there's so many days when it can feel like I don't want to train. I don't want to do this. And I was just talking to last time I was in Minnesota. I remember talking to Janelle and somebody. It could have even been you. I was talking to somebody at the gym, and we were saying how like when you get in that mode of like I just don't want to do this right now, like giving yourself a countdown, like either out loud or in your head, and
Yeah.
like being like, okay, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this in 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going. I'm doing this, and just like forcing yourself to even just like
Hmm.
is so amazing, and it like training your brain to just be like, I don't want to, but I have to be ready. I'm starting now, like, and just doing it. And I think that even for me too, that's made a big difference. And like when I'm feeling very lazy, to be like, no, I have goals. Come on, Cara. Like
I
you have.
know. It's, I go back to when I had Lyme disease. I'm like, you spent 9 months of not being able to train and complaining about it. Like, how dare you complain right now about being tired to train? And that for me has been huge because I just feel like I'm being a whiner. And I'm like, you can train right now. So go train. You spent 9 months not being able to.
Yeah, totally. I can relate with like I sprained my ankle 7 weeks ago when I was in Minnesota, and it was a decent sprain. Kept
Didn't
me
you
like
fracture something too? Like, it's
yeah.
more than just a sprain.
I know. I had 2 torn ligaments and a hairline fracture. And so I was like legitimately on crutches for about 5 weeks, and then like I took a complete week off of work when I first came home and just iced my foot all day long. And so it's doing much better now. I can find it like I'm walking, I'm doing like a lot of movements and like a lot of strength rebuilding for my legs and for my ankle. But I feel like I'm in the same place of when I was more so like completely off my feet. I was doing everything I could possibly think of doing in my house on my grip wall and like with my rig here with all like my Monstro holds because I was like, this is all I can do, and like
Mhm.
I want to stay strong. I want to be where I want to be, and like just focused on that. And now that
And what happened? What's
and
your
what
PR?
now I was getting to that.
Oh.
Um, so I've had yeah. So basically, I guess before I got injured, my pull-up PR was 15 for like straight pull-ups, like how many you do without stopping. And now it's 21, and so that's a
So good.
huge jump for just a couple weeks. And it's funny because like upper body strength is something that I feel like I've really struggled with. Like I can do cool moves a lot of the times, but just like forming that like endurance strength has been probably my biggest challenge in ninja. And so to be able to see like a big jump in pull-ups and like you know, maybe I still can't do as much as like some of the other athletes out there, but I just to like see okay, I have this injury and it's like made me really sad and like kept me from doing the balance stuff that I love, but I was able to focus on something else that's had like such a positive result. So
Yeah.
I'm just really looking forward to now being able to put everything back together, you know, like be able to practice lower body again along with upper body and like do full courses and things like that. I just can't wait to like be totally like putting everything to work again. So
It's been I follow you on Instagram like a creeper, but it's been fun watching you because you have a pretty small setup relative to a gym that you train on for your upper body, and watching where you are just in the past month, you've gotten so much more fluid and quick with your movements that your back is freaking ripped, man. So it didn't really surprise me when you told me that you crushed your PR. I mean, that's you crushed it by 5, right? Instagram's pretty cool because it's nice to be able to scroll down and be like, well, that's where I was a month ago and I'm so much better now.
yeah,
And seeing that progress is sometimes enough to get you in the gym on those days when it's hard.
yeah, totally.
Are
I
you
know.
able to train with your lower body again now?
Kind of. Yeah, I am training, but certain things I'm still extremely careful about. And certain things I can do again, but like the strength isn't all quite back yet. So doing any sort of jumping, it's hard for me to get very high off the ground yet.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things that I'm working at really hard during these next 8 weeks before A&W. For assuming I get called for Baltimore, that would be 8 weeks from today. Working pretty hard, totally believing that I'm going to be at 100%. But you know how it is. It's like it can feel very daunting to be like, wow, I used to be able to do this one thing and now it's not working yet. But
That's been, I'm so glad you brought that up because that is hard because I don't think I've ever compared myself to other people, but I do compare myself with where I used to be and dealing
yeah,
with injuries. That's been really hard to just
mhm,
focus on where you're at and what you can do now,
right.
and not getting down on yourself because it's hard when you're like, I came back and I used to be able to do 21 pull-ups and then coming back from I broke my sternum in Ninja versus Ninja and like struggling to do 3. Like it took a minute to do 3 pull-ups. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to just let go of where you used to be, acknowledge where you are and still have that motivation to move on because it feels like to me that all the work I'm doing is just kind of makeup and I shouldn't have to do it. Which is not the best way to view it.
No, but I get why you would think that way. That's a valid thing to feel.
It's been pretty cool watching you recover because I feel we both I sprained my ankle a month before you
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
So kind of seeing how you've dealt with it has helped me with my rehab too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah was there when I sprained my ankle or crushed my ankle, whatever you want to say. Uh, and that was a scary moment because I really didn't even realize that I had a fracture as well. Like it hurt more than other ankle injuries I'd had before. And I was like, wow, I definitely did something. And it like swelled up right away. But it was super encouraging having you there to just be like, it's going to be okay. There's good things that you can focus on. It was like, I was so glad that it happened with like a good group of people because
Oh,
it would have been even worse to just feel like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like to have something bad happen and to immediately have friends and like people that care about you be like, you're gonna get through this. Like I know this really sucks, but you're gonna get through this. Like keep focused, like keep your head up. It's okay to feel sad,
yeah.
but it's gonna be okay. Like that really made a big difference to me. And I keep that happy gum for your crappy life. I keep that in my Sarah gave me this little card for like, I know you're having quite the week right now. Here's a little card to make you happy with this gum, and I keep it in my backpack.
That's awesome. I was like, I hope you take it the right way because it's sometimes I just need a laugh when something shitty happens. Like I just need to
Oh
laugh at it. It warms my heart when people do that to me, and I'm like, I hope she gets it and it doesn't make her upset.
no way. No, I definitely laughed and it's still in my bag. And every time I'm like struggling with, just like we were saying, like feeling like, oh, I took like one step forward, 2 steps back. I
Yeah,
literally, I shake that gum and I like laugh at it. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. I'm
good.
getting stronger every day. But it is really cool to see, like for anybody who's dealt with injuries, like maybe you've experienced this or maybe you haven't, like it can seem like it's such a slow process of recovery until finally it's almost like a switch and you're like, wait, I feel fine. Like, wait, what just happened? And I think it's just that persistence of like keeping your head focused on focused on healing and focused on getting better and doing everything that you can possibly do for your body, like rehab. It's like your body's gonna catch up with you and like you're especially with ankles, like you probably know this too. It's like
Mhm.
when you tear ligaments, your body is just kind of like finding new ways to build strength and strengthen the other tendons and the other ligaments that remain versus like growing you a new ligament. And so it just seems to me like it's just kind of like all of a sudden your body catches up with where you've wanted to be. And it's like, oh hey, yeah, don't worry. Like we're all ready now. Like go back to being a crazy ninja. I'm finally feeling like my body's like catching up with where I've wanted it to be. And like today I was walking around and I realized I was walking on like very uneven surfaces and like even just last week that was still causing pain in my ankle. And like I was walking around on it for a little bit like during work and I was like, wait a second, this isn't bothering me at all. I feel totally fine. And it's just like those
Good.
realizations I am healing, I am getting better. And so, yeah, it's just encouraging to like focus on all those little victories.
Yeah. It's nice when you realize like, oh, normally I'd have to be very careful and I don't have to right now.
Right, exactly.
I
Yeah.
actually for those of you out there who are dealing with injuries, I have two things that I do now when I get injured or get sick because it's happened so often. So I make two lists, and the first list is what my main goal is and how I'm going to get there now. So I had Lyme disease. I decided to work on my flexibility because going to the gym just wasn't an option for me. When I broke my sternum, I focused more on meal prep and nutrition because that was an area that I really needed to focus on. And then my second list, which is my favorite, is a list of all the wonderful things about having this injury. And it's make it outrageous. So I made a list when I had Lyme disease that one of the perks of having Lyme disease is you can get out of any social engagement by just reminding people you have a disease. So I'm sorry. I'd love to come to your event, but I have Lyme disease and I'm so tired I have to stay home.
Wow.
Or, well,
Okay.
this one was my favorite. It's if someone calls me salty, I'm only one ingredient away of being the perfect tequila shot, which is so stupid, but it would make me laugh and make me giggle that it made it easier to handle. And then when I broke my sternum, I looked it up and there's 213 bones in the body. And I only have an issue with one of them, so that's still 99%, and that's a grade A. So I'm like, I'm still acing life, and that's how I would view it. Or if you want to put it in a different perspective, it's like, well, now I have 214, so I kind of have an A plus. And it's ridiculous and it's so stupid, but it would just make me so happy when I was having a pity party. I'd go back to that list of all these stupid, ridiculous perks of having this injury or having this illness. Made me feel
That's
better.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta do whatever it takes to like keep your brain from just totally seeping into the fog. I know for me too, it was like I was really stuck at home for a good 2 weeks because I couldn't drive because it was my right foot. And it was just like constantly so swollen that I didn't even want to be trying to like be up and around, and I'd be so exhausted all the time. And it was just rough. I was on crutches and like had this giant boot. And I remember so many of my friends who were like, well, let me come over to your house and like let me bring you dinner, and like just having friends who wanted to come to me and
Mhm.
come see me was like so encouraging. And like I was like, wow, you are my real friends. You are the ones that like actually care enough about me to just like go out of your way to like come visit or come do a workout, like an upper body workout on my rig with me, like in my apartment. And those were the things that I would look to and be like, wow, well, if nothing else, at least like I'm really getting to bond with friends that actually care about me, and like that made a lot of a difference for me.
That's awesome.
Was there anything else that you did mentally to keep yourself in a good headspace? Because for me, like just to give you a little bit of a backstory, I definitely this was long before Ninja, but there was a time in my life, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, that I really struggled with depression and struggled with kind of a hormonal like chemical imbalance, and it just led me to having depressive thoughts that I would struggle with, and like some other like health issues like anxiety and like extreme acne and stuff like that. And I got it all cleared up, but I know what it feels like to feel really down. And just, back in this past January when I sprained my ankle, I was extremely sad for a couple of weeks because I was very upset about not being able to compete in the National Ninja League World Finals. I was just like, what's happening? Like, will I ever be able to walk again? Just like those dramatic thoughts, but also just like real thoughts of feeling sad about what was going on. And so I had to really, really focus on the positive as hard as I could. And some days were rough, and some days I had to be like, it's going to be okay, Cara. Like, I'm going to heal. It's going to be okay. But it took a lot of like effort and willpower to not just like sink into this hole of like, well, I'm just never going to work out again. Like,
Yeah.
like, and that sounds extreme, but I think for a lot of us who are athletes who've had injuries, it takes over your whole world because it's not just like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to use crutches for a while. It's like I can't train, I can't do the thing that I love. Like some of my goals or my dreams seem like even further away now. Like it just really messes with your brain.
Yeah.
Um, so what did you experience any of that, or like what did you do to counteract that?
Yeah, I deal with depression too. It's mostly in the winter. I struggle a lot with Minnesota winters here. Um, and the cool thing about depression is you don't need anything wrong in your life for it to be present,
Right.
which is wonderful. Um, and then to add any kind of big setback like an injury or an illness tends to compound it for me. So I can relate with you a lot on that. Um, and especially for athletes, like that's my job. My job is to train kids in ninja. My hobby is to train ninja. So if you take that away from me, I feel like I've lost a little piece of my identity, and that hit me really hard. And I I did a couple things because I've dealt with depression so long. It's super nice that I've had to kind of come with some coping skills. And my sister, whom I love and annoys me at the same time, when I was in the midst of one of my depressive times in life, she said, "It's okay to feel, sad. It's okay to feel down, but how dare you let that affect your actions? Like, you still have control over what you do. I understand that you can't control that you feel sad. I understand that you want to stay in bed, but that doesn't mean you get to." And I was so mad at her for saying that, but it clicked for me. It helped me. And I need to be careful because I know that everyone deals with depression differently. And everyone has a different personality. So that's going to affect how you view life. That's going to affect how you deal with your own depression. But for me, that was really helpful. And that gave me my power back because I think that's one of the biggest issues for me is I feel helpless and I feel like there's nothing that I can do about it. And she very brutally reminded me, like, that's a cop out to say that. And for me, that was helpful. So sometimes it's just reminding myself of that. I leave a note by my bed when I get sad, and it says, "Get the F out of bed." I don't want to curse on your podcast, but it does make me feel better, and it kind of makes me chuckle, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's time. And then the second thing I did is I've gotten better at talking about it with my friends. So I have one friend who gets it, and I'll text her and I'll be like, "I'm depressed. I need you to just tell me it's going to be okay." So she tells me a couple things and reminds me, "You're strong, you're capable, you can do this." And that's it. And because she deals with depression too, she doesn't get overboard with it, I guess, which I think if a lot of people don't understand, they tend to get overboard. But she'll just shoot me a text and then that's it. And then I also asked my friends when I was in the midst of being sick with Lyme and not knowing what I was sick with, I'm like, you know, if you could send me letters of encouragement, that would be really helpful because that's my love language. So one of my best friends on the East Coast would send me a letter about once a week. One of my best friends here got me this box full of um, letters and cards that were labeled different things. They're like, when you are feeling really sad, open this. When you know you need to go to the gym, but you don't want to, open this. And so
Yeah.
that was really helpful for me. I think this was the first time ever that I asked people for help because it always just felt like a burden that I was putting my feelings on someone else to ask for help. But they didn't mind at all, and it was really helpful.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool to hear, especially because it's like you knew those words would help you. You knew that encouragement was going to be something that would really speak to you. So I commend you for knowing that about yourself and being able to recognize that and like ask for help. That's really cool.
Yeah. If anyone out there is dealing with depression, ask for help. There's tons of people around you that love you to pieces, and they have a lot more energy to help than you might have in this moment.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy to not realize those people that are actually in our lives, but the moment that you really do ask for help, I think they kind of come out of the woodwork, even if you don't like they might be your friends and you know that they're there. They might be other friends that you just don't realize actually really care about you.
Yeah,
So yeah, never be afraid to ask for help.
it's I don't know. That's huge for me. It's been super helpful. And what is I wish I could remember. I read this book and no, I don't remember the title, so sorry guys. But one of the things about it is she does these long distance endurance races, like 7-day races. And she has a team with her that she runs these with, and they about once an hour ask each other, "How are you doing 1 to 10?" And then they say, "I'm a 5, I'm a 7, I'm an 8." and then they redistribute the weight or they redistribute the tasks so that everyone's suffering equally. And I've kind of taken that into more of personal life, that you're not always going to be an 8, you're not always going to be a 4, so it's okay to ask someone for help and kind of split the difference. Because I've had times where I've been feeling awesome and I'm a 9 or a 10 in my outlook on life, and I'm there to help my friends who are struggling. So it's okay that when I feel like I'm a 3 or a 4 to ask my other friends for help. And viewing it that way really put it in perspective. Like, those numbers are always going to fluctuate, and if you need to ask for help when you need it, and you need to offer it when you're in a good place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes total sense, and I like that picture. It definitely makes sense, and I think that it's so easy too to forget that sometimes we all do need help, and just like knowing that, like for my friends who helped me and like brought me food or just came and visited me, like when I couldn't do anything else, like it just motivates me so much more to like want to be that great friend to them and like reach out to them when they need it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, girl.
Yeah, girl. Yes.
Here's some gum for your crappy life. Oh, that gum really made me laugh.
I
But
was so
anyways,
happy.
well, we're coming to the end of our time. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we say goodbyes?
If it's ninja, if it's anything else, if there's something you want to do in life, just go for it. You might not know how you're going to get there, but just start taking one step every day to get closer to what you want to do. Because when I decided that I wanted to be on American Ninja Warrior, I had no idea that I'd be able to get there. I was the girl that went to the gym and couldn't even hang on a ring. You know what I mean? And now I get to compete. So I guess just trust the process and keep taking steps towards the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
And I love that. And I embrace that. There's been so many very wise ninjas on this podcast who have said something similar. Like, just every little bit that you can chip away at your goals, like, makes a difference and it all adds up. So trust the process. And
Yeah.
definitely, Sarah, it's been awesome having you on the show. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to talk to you and like hear your story, and can't wait to see you on season 11. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
I can't wait to see you in Vegas competing side by
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. It's going to happen. Woo. All right. Well, thank you so much. We will talk more soon, and I'll see you on the gram. Where can people find you on Instagram?
At Beast and Heesen. Even though my name's Heesen.
That's a story for another time.
Yep. See you in Vegas.